Page 79, Alpine Melody. On page 77, they're introducing you a new note for the right hand, is what they call it. And actually, it's a new note for the treble clef. Doesn't matter which hand plays it. And that is the top space in the staff. It's an E. You need to memorize that note. Just learn it. Hopefully, you already got all the other notes memorized, because we're just going to keep adding notes. So, please get them memorized. They show it, it's part of the C chord. Remember, G chord is here with C chord. Again, we're going to, thumb stays where it is and the hand moves up, the rest of the hand up here. We did the same thing in the C chord. We went up for the F here. Well, same thing here in the G. We'll just come up here for the C chord. So that's the E we're talking about. You've had this E already. This is way up here. All right. Hopefully you kind of see a pattern of what's going on in these different keys. It makes sense, and it'll make more sense as we add more to it. Now for Alpine Melody, let's look it over. 3/4 time, treble and bass clef is 4 lines long. It's got a repeat sign, so we're going to repeat the thing. Which means we're playing it twice. Okay. Here are the melodies in the left hand, and the right hand gets the chords. Well, that'll be nice. I like it when they do that, because you really need to develop both hands. Let's look it over one hand at a time now. Right hand, you have the chords. You have the G chord, and then later there's a D7 chord. We've had this before. Whether you finger it this way or this way is between you and the size of your hand, whichever. And then the third line, you have the C chord. Well, just add the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So once you get the rhythm down, it's not quite so bad, I hope. Bottom. Left hand melody, you're starting in G position. You have a D first. 1, and you should know that's a D, right? You know the names of these notes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The little finger comes down. You're going to notice certain patterns and things in music as you do this, and the more of these patterns you learn to recognize, the actually better off you're going to be. Take the first measure, the first 2 measures. Here, these 3 notes are involved. That's a G chord, just a broken G chord. And then in the 3rd measure and 4th measure, that's the D7 chord. It's just broken, and you learn to recognize. Oh, I know what that is, and you start thinking about, even when notes are played one at a time, you start thinking about them in groups, like it's a broken chord, and it makes reading music a little easier. Over time, you'll learn to do this. So you go through and get the hands together. Take out any hesitations. No hesitations in that. It's got to be a steady beat. That you choose the speed, doesn't matter. And then we think about the articulation. Well, that's the phrasing in the left hand. Connect it. Lift up. Lift up. Lift up between each of these phrases. So there's a little sign. It's like taking a breath. And then the dynamics. Well, that applies to the melody, which again is the left hand. Whatever you think soft is. Makes the right hand very soft. How soft can you play these? And still get them down at the same time? I can't do that. So that takes practice. If you need to, exaggerate it. Play the left hand loud. Play the right hand really soft. Just as soft as you can play it. Just to get an idea of, the left hand is heavy, the right hand is light. So I'm playing the left hand, a lot of weight on that, very little weight in the right hand. So I get a difference there. And then you can tone it down. Make this soft, and this very soft. Takes time, but this practicing and getting these controls come in really handy, and you'll get the control if you'll keep working at it. Speed-wise, well, whatever you think moderately slow is. 1, 2, not slow, just sort of slow. It's the feel of the piece. It's not the speed of the beat, it's the feel of the piece. Now there is a note at the bottom. Play both hands 8 VA second time, which means that when you go to repeat it, you simply pretend middle C, it goes up an octave here on the keyboard, and instead of here, you're up here. So you're ending it on the first time here, you come up here, here. Well, we got to figure out how to do this because you can't mess up the beat. So it's hard to move both hands at once. We have to sometimes, but if we can avoid it, we do. Here, at the beginning, the left hand is playing, the right hand has a rest. So the left hand plays first. So what we can do when we go to repeat this, or here, is we get the left hand to this note, that's where it needs to go. We get the right hand out of the way, and then as it plays it, the right hand can come up. So you're really moving one hand at a time. So you're here, here. So that's how I would suggest you do. We practice hand movements in piano when we need to because the beat needs to be a steady beat. Then once we have all that, then we add the pedal because it sounds fine without pedal. So what is the pedal doing? Why are we using it? If you're going to use pedal, use it for reasons or don't use it. Before, we used it for contrast because we had part of it was nice and choppy and clean and dry or whatever, and then we had the overtones for part of it. That's contrast. Here, another reason for using pedal is to help color or add overtones to longer held notes. They're doing it on the dotted half notes, the longer notes. Because on a piano, when you play a note, it just sits there and dies away. If you can add overtones to it, it colors a little bit. Makes it a little more interesting to listen to, and that's one of the reasons we pedal in piano. So here, we're just simply doing that. The last measure, the first line, I push the note down first and then the pedal. I lift the pedal up with the hands, so there's a little silence before we go on. I'm coloring the long notes. I'm just adding overtones to it. It's the only reason I can see they're doing it. There is an error in the music, I believe, because they've been pedaling all of these dotted half notes, but if you look at the end of the third line, they don't. I think that's an error. I see no reason not to pedal that. So I would suggest take a pencil and draw in a little pedal marking underneath that measure like the other measures. I'd like to play this with you slowly, and let's double check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do any dynamics. I'm going to play both hands up at the same. I am going to repeat it, and I'm going to go up an octave when I repeat it. So I'll give us 3 counts, and let's try it together. 1, ready, go. Repeat.